Hello gentle listeners, and welcome to episode 2 of Whispers of the Past. Today, I'm bringing you a figure from Slavic folklore, the enigmatic, often fearsome Baba Yaga. During this episode, I will tell you 2 stories that are written about Baba Yaga, as I think these will give you a better idea of the type of person she was seen to be. So let me start this episode by painting you a picture. Imagine you're wandering through an ancient forest. Trees as old as time are towering above you, their leaves whispering secrets to you as they rustle in the wind, and birds are flying around singing their songs. As the sun sets, casting long shadows across your path, you stumble upon a clearing. There, in the middle of the clearing, just inside a fence made of human bones, stands a hut. But not just any old hut. This one is perched atop giant chicken legs, capable of moving and turning at will. This is the home of Baba Yaga, the Witch of the Woods. You're probably now wondering who exactly Baba Yaga is. This witch you've just been told has a hut sat on top of chicken legs, surrounded by a fence of human bones. So I'll start by telling you the meaning of her name and a bit about her origins and characteristics. Baba Yaga doesn't have a direct translation, but is often understood to mean grandmother witch. She is a key figure in Slavic folklore, and was first written about in 1755, but she appeared even earlier than that in wood carvings and oral stories. She's certainly known for being a wicked witch, and fills all the requirements of that role, eating children being one of those requirements. She moved around the forest she lived in with her hut on chicken legs, but she also had another mode of transport, which you might just be imagining as a broomstick like any other wicked witch. And yes, while she does have a broomstick, she doesn't use this to fly around on. Instead, she sits inside a mortar and holds a pestle in one hand to propel it through the air, with her broomstick in the other hand to clear the tracks she leaves behind her. She's often depicted in one of 2 ways. Firstly, as an old haggard woman with a grotesque appearance, a long, hooked nose, iron teeth, bony legs, and a skeletal frame. The second depiction is as an enormous ogress, who is so big that she can recline across the entire expanse of the hut with a nose so large that it touches the ceiling. If you've seen the Studio Ghibli film Spirited Away, then you might remember the bathhouse proprietor, Yubaba. Baba Yaga was used as the basis of design for this character, so the long nose and elderly appearance might be familiar to you. Baba Yaga has also inspired other works, such as the 9th movement in the 1874 suite Pictures at the Exhibition, The Hut on Fowl's Legs, and may well soon appear on TV, as Neil Gaiman used her in his Sandman comics, and these are currently being adapted by Netflix. While she is often seen as a wicked witch, and in some tales is the villain, there are also times she is seen as an anti-hero. As a villain, she is portrayed as preying on the innocent and sends out flocks of black geese to fly around to find children for her to eat. But then in some tales, Baba Yaga is shown to bestow guidance and wisdom to those who seek her out, and can prove themselves to be worthy of her help. The trials of which determine said worth are often deeply weighted towards failure, spawning tales only adding to the crone's capricious reputation. You might be wondering if you should see Baba Yaga as a villain or as a heroine, so I'd like to tell you 2 stories to show you the duality of her nature. The first being the story of Baba Yaga's black geese, and the second being possibly her most popular tale, the story of Vasilla the Beautiful. So please, sit back, relax, and enjoy as I tell you 2 stories. Story 1. The Black Geese. Long ago, A man and a wife were blessed with a daughter named Elena and an energetic baby boy. As was the case, periodically the mother and father needed to go to market. But there was foulness abroad in the hinterlands where they dwelled. With this in mind, Elena's mother charged her with her brother's safety, entreating vigilance with a promise of reward. "We are going to the market today. Stay in the house with your brother. Baba Yaga's black geese have been seen flying over the village. When we come back, we will bring you sugar buns." They left, intending swift return. The warning fresh in her mind kept Elena and her brother inside for time. But the temptation of fun to be had with the local rascals soon caused her patience to wane. Too soon did she grow restless and joined her friends playing outside. A distracted Elena recalled her brother just in time to see the black geese swoop down, seize the poor boy, and carry him away to further perils. Realizing the weight of her failure, she was overcome with the terrors that awaited her stolen charge. The black geese had of course taken him to Baba Yaga, the terrible witch of the forest. Finding her resolve, she set out to rescue him and ran towards the forest. Crossing plains, she came upon a stream where a fish lay gasping on the bank. "Elena, help me," it called. She picked it up and put it back in the water. The fish thanked her and gave her a shell, saying, "If you're ever in danger, throw this over your shoulder and the water from my stream will help you." Pushing on, she approached the beginning of wilderness, where she happened into a squirrel caught in a snare. "Elena, help me," it cried. She freed it, and the squirrel gave her a walnut, saying, "If you're ever in danger, throw this over your shoulder, and the trees I climb and hide my walnuts in will sprout up to assist you." Dusk slowly approaching, she forged into woodland, trying to stay on the trail. Worrying for her brother, she was petitioned once more. "Elena, help me," pleaded a mouse. A boulder had shifted, trapping the mouse's tail. With a great effort, she shifted the rock, and the mouse bestowed her a pebble, saying, "If you're ever in danger, throw this over your shoulder, and the rock that trapped me will grow to whatever it needs to assist you." Elena continued into the dark forest, and finally reached Baba Yaga's hut, which stood on giant chicken legs just inside a fence of human bones. The black geese roosted on the roof, and inside the hut, Baba Yaga slept, snoring loudly. Near her, Elena could see her brother playing with some bones. So, Elena quietly crept into the hut, picked up her brother, and ran. The black geese saw her and honked loudly, waking Baba Yaga. "Stop, thief!" she screamed, chasing after them on her long, bony legs. Elena ran as fast as she could, but Baba Yaga was quicker and was catching up to them. Remembering the fish's gift, she threw the shell over her shoulder. Suddenly, a broad lake appeared, too large for Baba Yaga to go around, so Baba Yaga drank the lake dry and continued the chase. Elena next recalled the squirrel's gift and threw the walnut over her shoulder. A thick grove of trees sprang up, but Baba Yaga chewed through them with her sharp teeth. Elena then threw her final gift that the small mouse had given her, the pebble, over her shoulder. In the spot it landed, a tall, stony mountain rose from the ground behind her, so tall its peak was lost in the clouds. Baba Yaga could neither eat nor climb it, so she had to turn back, growling and cursing the whole time. Elena safely returned home with her brother, just as her parents arrived from the market with sugar buns. They were overjoyed to find their children safe and sound, and from then on, Elena never forgot to watch over her brother, and they lived happily, always wary of Baba Yaga and her child-snatching black geese. As you can see from this story, Baba Yaga is very much the villain, kidnapping and trying to eat children. But in the next story, I hope you can see that she is not always this completely villainous character, although the way in which she helps can sometimes be questionable. Now let's step into one of the most famous tales featuring Baba Yaga, the story of Vasila the Beautiful. Once upon a time, in a faraway village, there lived a girl named Vasila. She lived with her mother and father. Her mother was very ill, and despite all her father tried to do, she knew she would soon pass away. Before passing away, she called Vasila to her side and gave her a small doll. She said to her daughter to look after it and never show it to anyone, and that if she ever needed advice or help, all she had to do was feed the doll some food, and it would offer her any and all of the advice and help she needed. Her mother sadly passed away shortly after giving Vasila this gift, and wanting to give Vasila a mother, her father remarried, a wicked woman who had 2 cruel stepdaughters. They were all jealous of Vasila's beauty and made her life miserable. To try and ruin her beauty, the wicked stepmother would give Vasila impossible tasks every day out in the burning sun. But with her mother's doll, she was able to complete each of these tasks, and with each day, she grew more beautiful, as the doll would bring her medicines and oils to protect her from the sun. Her stepmother was furious, but even with each task she set Vasila, she still grew more beautiful. So, one day, when Vasila's father had set off on a journey and wouldn't be home for a long time, her stepmother came up with a devious plan and sent her into the forest to fetch fire from the wicked witch Baba Yaga, hoping she would be eaten and never return. With a heavy heart but determined spirit, Vasila ventured into the dark woods. She walked for hours, cold and terrified, until she stumbled upon Baba Yaga's hut, standing eerily inside a fence made from human bones on its chicken legs. Gathering her courage, she entered the fence, approached the hut, and knocked. Baba Yaga appeared, her eyes gleaming with a mixture of curiosity and menace. "What do you want, child?" she croaked. "Please, Baba Yaga," Vasila replied. "I have come to fetch fire for my stepmother." Baba Yaga considered her for a moment. "I know of your stepmother, and I will give you the fire you have been sent to collect," she said. "But first, you must complete 3 tasks to prove your worth. For now, get the pot from the fire, and we will have dinner." After dinner, Vasila was given her first task. Baba Yaga said, "Take this sack of millet and pick it over seed by seed, and mind that you take out all the black bits, for if you don't, I shall eat you up." Baba Yaga then closed her eyes and began to snore. Vasila took out a crumb of bread she saved from dinner, put it before her little doll, and said, "Come, little doll, eat this bread, my dear, and I'll pour out all my troubles in your ear, your ear. Baba Yaga has given me a hard task to do, and she threatens to eat me up if I do not do it." The doll said in reply, "Do not grieve and do not weep, but close your eyes and go to sleep, for morning is wiser than evening." So she took the doll's advice and went to sleep. The moment Vasila was asleep, the doll called out in a loud voice, "Tomits, pigeons, sparrows, hear me. There is work to do, I fear me. On your help, my feathered friends, Vasila's life depends. Come in answer to my call, you are needed, one and all." And the birds came flying from all sides, flocks and flocks of them, more than the eye could see or tongue could tell. They began to chirp and to coo, to set up a great to-do, and to pick over the millet seed very quickly indeed. Into the sack the good seed went, and the black went into the crop, and before they knew it, the night was spent, and the sack was filled to the top. When she awoke in the morning, Baba Yaga asked her if she had completed her first task. To Vasila's shock, the millet had been sorted, and all the black bits were out of it. So she said yes to Baba Yaga, who was very angry, but there was nothing more to be said. "Humph," she snorted. "I am off to hunt. You take that sack yonder. It's filled with peas and poppy seeds. Pick out the peas from the seeds and put them in 2 separate heaps. And mind, now, if you do not do it, I shall eat you up." Baba Yaga left her hut and went out into the yard. Whistling, a pestle and mortar swept up to her to begin the day of hunting. Vasila took a crust of bread, fed her little doll, and said, "Do take pity on me, little doll, my dear, and help me out." And the doll called out in ringing tones, "Come to me, mice of the house, the barn, and the field, for there is work to be done." And the mice came running, swarms and swarms of them, more than the eye could see or tongue could tell, and before the hour was up, all the work was done. It was getting on towards evening, so Vasila began to wait for Baba Yaga's return. Night fell, and the trees groaned and crackled, the leaves rustled, and Baba Yaga, the cunning and sly witch who gobbled people up in the wink of an eye, came riding home. "Have you done what I told you to do, Vasila?" she asked. Vasila replied, "Yes, it's all done." Baba Yaga was very angry, but what could she say? "Well, then, go to bed. I am going to turn in myself in a minute." The next morning, when Baba Yaga woke, she asked Vasila how she had managed to complete the 2 impossible tasks she had set. Vasila told her about the doll her mother had gifted her. "I knew it," said Baba Yaga. "You have a blessing, and I won't have people with blessings in my home. You better be gone." So Baba Yaga got up and pushed Vasila out of the hut. "As you completed 2 of my tasks," Baba Yaga said, "I will give you the fire you desire." So, Baba Yaga grabbed a stick and lit it, handed it to Vasila, and sent her home. Vasila returned home with the fire, and her stepmother and stepsisters were astonished that she had returned. They were sure she would be eaten. She handed the fire to her stepmother, and the fire's magical glow revealed their wickedness. They were consumed by it, burning them to piles of ashes where they stood. Her father eventually returned and asked Vasila what happened to his wife and 2 stepdaughters. She explained everything from the horrible tasks they set her to sending her to find Baba Yaga. Her father apologized for all she had been put through and promised he wouldn't marry again. This was just 2 of the many tales involving Baba Yaga, and stories like these highlight the rich depth of her character. She's not just a villain, she's a gatekeeper, an arbiter of worth, and, occasionally, the salvation of the fortunate. Her whimsical reasoning and unpredictable reactions to those that trespass her realm parallel the ambivalence of nature itself, both nurturing and destructive, and often indifferent to those that would rage against her. But what does Baba Yaga represent? Scholars suggest she embodies the wild, untamable aspects of nature and the transformative power of the wilderness, existing on the fringes both of society and the supernatural world, representing the unknown and the mysterious. In modern times, Baba Yaga continues to inspire. She's appeared in books, movies, and even video games, evolving with the times while retaining her core attributes. Her hut on chicken legs remains one of the most iconic symbols in folklore, a testament to her enduring legacy. I hope you enjoyed today's episode on the wicked witch that is Baba Yaga. If you did, please like and subscribe, and leave me a comment if there's any particular myth, legend, urban legend, or folklore you would like to hear about in the future, and also leave me any suggestions on how I can improve the podcast. I'm your host Josh, this was Whispers of the Past, and I hope you will join us next time.